right, welcome to the Wartime MMA podcast with your boys Alex, Tony, Mike, and Sync. 2023, end of the year, MMA Awards. Go 3-round, 5-round, female, male. I think recency by a factor in it, but I think I'm gonna go Aldana Rosa. Those bitches look like they went through a fucking car accident when they caught out. It was just pretty much nonstop action, and it pretty much ramped up. Like, as the fight kept going, there was more and more action, more and more blood, more shots landed. And, like, I kind of didn't assume that fight was going to be really good. I thought it wound up just being a fucking scrap. It's going to be mine. What do you guys think for your 3-round female fight of the year?
My female 3-round fight of the year will be Ribas versus Pinheiro. I think that was a good one. I think it was winning a couple of those rounds, and then just Ribas was letting out her inner Edson Barbosa and just spinning heel kick the fuck out of her. I thought that was a very good fight, and they were just going at it too, so I'd probably say that. It was a pretty good fight.
Tony Trio?
My 3-rounder of the year, female fight, I think I'm going to go with Amanda Ribas, Macy Barber. That was just a crazy scrap. Very physical. Macy Barber was able to find the finish, but overall, like Amanda Ribas, she's a do-or-die fighter, and she's always going to put up a great show. So that's my 3-round female fight of the year.
I'm going to go Aldana Nunes. Lots of, first round.
You said Cara Rosa, Aldana. I thought you said Irene versus Nunes.
Yeah, he did. I know what he meant, though.
I said Aldana. No, I didn't.
He said Aldana Nunes.
You said Aldana
There's
Nunes.
no way I said that. Okay, but anyways, yeah. I did dominance first round, second round. Aldana started Rosa started the gas. She started piecing her up more, hurting her with body shots and shit. And then third round, Cara Rosa really looked defeated. But she did swing back a couple times. But yeah, Aldana it was just a war, basically. Good fight.
Yeah, I feel like we covered all three of the ones I mentioned. Those are the 3-round scraps of the year as far as the female goes. 5-round female. I was pretty much glued to the screen through Shevchenko Grasso too, just because it was so even, and I was trying to keep up scoring, like who won this round. They put more emphasis into Grasso's knees than in the damage that came from them, rather than the total outstriking of Shevchenko. And it kind of puts you in like a box as an MMA fan, where you're like, okay, well, who the fuck won this round? And I always kind of find those fun. Like, we get on the call and we're like, okay, who do you think won? I think Shevchenko, I think Grasso, and we have a conversation about it. I felt like I had a lot of fun with that fight.
You said two? You said Grasso, and I'm going to go with the first one, because I think the second one was good, but I feel like the first one had a clear winner. So that's why I'm going to go with that one off the bat. Plus, it was pretty much competitive like the second one too. But I'm just gonna go with the first one just because there was a clear winner in that one, and I liked the ending of the fight.
Tony Trail.
I think I'm going to agree with Alex on this one. I think Shevchenko Grasso too and UFC Noche was just a really good fight. That's the first time I've ever seen Valentina Shevchenko get dropped in her UFC career. Amanda Nunes couldn't do it. Juliana Pena couldn't do it. Holly Holm couldn't do it. I've never seen her get dropped. If that fight wasn't a draw, I would have given it to Shevchenko. So for it to be that close, for it to be that hair-thin difference of a fight, I think you got to put that in the discussion for the fight of the year. So I'm going to second Alex on that.
I'm going to have to go Noche UFC. For all the reasons you guys have already gave. Nothing more I can really add on to that.
But 3-round male fight of the year. They've had some decent ones. Not too many have stood out to me more than Guram versus Elvis Brenner. Elvis Brenner, I think he was a short notice. I want to say Guram was originally... I forgot who Guram was originally going to face. But Brenner ended up stepping in on short notice, and he won. He took all the damage that Guram gave him and gave it back. and just the amount of like brutality and the techniques thrown in the fight. Like I don't remember a fight where I've seen more than one tomahawk elbow getting thrown. So the fact that Garam was in there fucking throwing tomahawk elbows was just cool to see. You know, you don't see that shit often. And I know Garam kind of got exposed a little bit as a fraud, but I still really like watching him strike, and I think he's one of the better strikers at lightweight, technique-wise. Garam and Brenner just fucking is the dog of dogs. Like, he just goes in there, he has the power, he has the chin, he has the grappling, he's got the heart, and he just will be there in the fire 24/7, undeterred. And like Brent, I feel like everybody got really high on Brenner after that fight. That fight was fucking crazy.
I'm gonna go with Manel Cap versus Dos Santos. I think that one was a very good one. It was I think I was talking to Alex about before the fight. We were like thinking, oh, Manel Cap's gonna destroy this guy. This guy's coming out of shoot box. He's probably just gonna pull guard like the rest of them. But no, dude came into scrap and he fought like he had his inner Charles Oliveira out by just pressing forward, eating the shots to give him, and Manel Cap having a great performance and especially a great after a great post fight interview as well. So I'm gonna go with Manel Cap versus Dos Santos. I forgot his first name, but yeah, I'm just gonna say that one.
I'm gonna go with Rob Font, Davison Figueiredo. I like that fight.
I'm gonna be different. I'm gonna go Joshua Van versus Borjas.
That is a good fight.
That's a good one.
Borchev, yeah, that's a good.
Yeah, but I really like that fight. That one was dope.
That was. Now you reminded me about that. Those body shots were fucking nasty. He broke the flyweight record body shots. 5-round male fight of the year. I think I'm gonna go Edson Barboza versus Sadiq Youssef.
I agree. I think that's a good one. I personally am going to go with Pantoja versus Moreno, too. I like both fighters. I like Pantoja a lot. I like Brandon Moreno a lot. I love his style. Crazy fucking Mexican fighter. I think that was a great one. There would be one moment where like, oh shit, Brandon Moreno is actually going to do good in this fight. And then we're like, fuck, Pantoja is also doing very good. It's just back and forth. It was from both fighters. It was a really good fight. So yeah, I'm gonna go with that one.
Pantoja Moreno. I think my International Fight Week co-main event, flyweight championship of the world. That was a very good fight for me. I liked that fight a lot. I thought it had a bit of everything: striking, grappling, wrestling, clinch, cardio, endurance, toughness, everything. I thought that fight had a bit of everything. And I like seeing Pantoja become champion. It was a really good moment. So, yeah, that's my 5-round fight of the year.
Volk versus Islam 1. Islam stepping into enemy territory, getting booed, getting called a wanker by the crowd. A lot of the ambiance to that card, especially that main event, was fucking crazy. Volk had the whole arena chanting his name. It was like on some Premier League shit. Ambiance was, and the fight itself, it had everything. Both fighters were able to like get advantageous positions. They both dropped each other. It was just like a roller coaster of emotions watching that fight. I get it, like Islam was like, he made it a game plan to like implement the grappling, and he wasn't able to finish Volk. I still think like the moments in that fight were awesome. It's a fight that I think will be remembered probably on the ESPN Best Fights of 2023 tab, and I think deservedly so. It's a great fucking fight, and I still think Volk won that one.
The next award is Crowd of the Year.
I think it's the Australian crowd. The Australian crowd had very great moments. They were unbiased on certain areas. Like, everybody thought Sean Strickland was just going to go into enemy territory in Australia.
I agree with him. From supporting Strickland to supporting Volk, they were the rowdiest, best chance, everything across the board.
Yeah.
Shitting on Izzy and Islam will always get you bonus points.
I'm gonna go with Australia, but a different fight. I'm gonna go Volk Islam 1 in Australia. UFC 284, I believe.
94. Yeah. My bad.
The rematch was 294. Like in the build-up, I'm saying in the build-up to the Makachev Volkanovski first fight, it didn't feel like this is the best on the best. But the second they both stepped in there, like you felt the atmosphere. Like this is the best versus the best fighter in the world right now.
France, UK, and Australia, but the fucking chant. Islam's a wanker. You're never gonna beat that.
No.
That's the best shit ever. Fucking Islam's a wanker. Like, that's the best chant I've ever heard in my life. I'll be honest. That's so funny. I don't know if they were saying Izzy's a wanker, but if they were, that puts them up even higher.
No, they were just booing the fuck out of him.
Yeah, Mike's right. There's been some very big moments in UFC history in Australia. You had Holly Holmes' head kick over Ronda Rousey. You had Adesanya beating Robert Whittaker. Australia's had some very big moments.
Facts.
Islam's a wanker. I like that one.
Our next award debut of the year.
Diego Lopez's debut was fucking fire. I think that was a great one. Debut of the year. Win or lose, I'm gonna be proud of myself. Debut of the year for me. That was a fucking great fight too.
I'm gonna go Ikram. I think the 1-2 he landed was really good. I think he's got a pretty high ceiling. He proved his worth later on. I think the knockout and the debut, there was less hype for him than there was Bo Nickel, but I feel like he performed better, and I feel like we left thinking higher of him. So I'm gonna go Ikram, but there's a lot of good debuts this year, low key.
I like seeing adversity. I like seeing you overcome like a problem and being able to solve it. So controversial maybe, but I want to go with Mikdebek or Balal over Uros Medic. I was impressed how he pretty much got like rocked pretty badly in the first round with like knees and some really good strikes from Uros Medic, and then he just took over the fight like right after that. Most people would crumble in that situation where Mikdebek just rose to the occasion. So that's my debut of the year.
Well, I'm gonna say Bo Nickel against Jamie Pickett. I get he fucking kicked him in the nuts, but in the grand scheme of things, I don't think it really matters, and he just fucking smoked the dude in a round. So yeah, I'm gonna go with that.
All right.
Next one.
Our next award of the year, pay-per-view of the year.
My best pay-per-view of the year was 295. I think that card delivered really well. I felt like the undercard was pretty understacked, but it still delivered. He lost Jones off the main card, but I feel like honestly Aspinall and Sergey got more of a reaction out of us than Stipe and Jones would have. So I think that was like, that had me shook when Aspinall KO'd Sergey for like a solid 10 minutes. Like by the time the main event started, I was still saying holy shit, like because of Aspinall. Like Aspinall, like I've had a very high opinion of him for a long time, but watching him reach that peak was crazy, and like kind of becoming what I always thought he was. And watch Saint Denis's head kick was insane, but Yuri Pereira is a perfect main event. Like even though like Jones got pulled off, like that was a good main event where I felt like we didn't really lose much, even though we lost the name value of Jones.
We had Strickland beating Adesanya, my favorite moment of the card. Volkov coming out with that fucking Ezekiel choke, that was fucking awesome. I'm a fan of that choke style. Me personally, I've subbed a couple people with it before as well. It's a very good choke. The cop fight, that one was fucking phenomenal. You can't go wrong with a good Manel cop fight. Well, that was the one that I was saying that was my 3-round fight of the year. So yeah, I'm gonna say that one. Australia, UFC 293.
My pay-per-view of the year is going to be International Fight Week, UFC 290. From the prelims to the main card, you had a lot of great fights. Cameron Simon, Terrence Mitchell, Vitor Petrino, one of my favorite prospects. Robbie Lawler's retirement. That was a really big moment in UFC. And then the main card, you had Bo Nickel, Val Woodburn. Bo Nickel was able to get it done with his hands. Didn't even have to shoot a takedown. That was very impressive to me. Prior to that, Val Woodburn was undefeated. Dan Hooker, Jalen Turner. Great fight. Just a battle of will. Dan Hooker was able to sustain massive damage but overcome it. because he just had the bigger heart that night. Dricus du Plessis was able to pull off a massive upset over Robert Whittaker. It was a really good performance by him. And then you had, in my opinion, the fight of the year in Pantoja Moreno's rematch. And then in the main event, I'm an Alexander Volkanovski fan, so I like the outcome of him being able to TKO Yair Rodriguez.
The return of the GOAT. Highly anticipated card. I think we're all excited for this one. I remember Tony had gone as the self-proclaimed future GOAT of the division.
The good boy was gonna win the belt, you guys.
So we're all looking forward to this one, whether it be like for positive or negative reasons regarding John Jones's return. And looking back at it now, I forget how stacked this card was. Amanda Ribas had a really good performance on this one. Dropped Araujo several times in that. Dricus looking shit, but somehow winning against Brunson. Gamrot Turner was it was a good fight when it was on the feet until Gamrot decided to be a bitch and fucking rob him against the cage. Gamrot lost that fight, by the way. Anyways, Shavkat Jeff Neal was a fucking banger of a fight. That could have been a fight night of itself. Shavkat had to go in the deep waters to get that finish. And then, of course, one of the greatest upsets in women's history. Alexa Grasso subbing the GOAT, Valentina Shevchenko. That was a great moment leading up to the main event. And then fucking Jones just does Jones things. Absolutely demolishes what Tony proclaimed as the heavyweight GOAT, up and coming, in 2 minutes. Absolutely fucking mollywop that French baguette. Yeah. So, 285.
I'm taking this down. No, I'm fucking.
Hope he made that French man surrender.
That fight is on the award we'll get to later for me. But yeah, that was a great card overall. That was a good card.
Tony's seething right now. It's okay, buddy.
Yep. Is the best fight night of the year.
Best fight night of the year.
UFC Jacksonville. Just because I'm an Ilya fan. I like Ilya. Been a fan of his for a long ass time. These guys can vouch. I love Ilya Topuria.
On Dariush versus Sarukian, I felt like that card was stacked to the gills. And we were talking about it damn near being another pay-per-view. Rodolfo Bellato, one of the comebacks of the year, one of the fights of the year. Just absolute dogfight against Ihor Potieria. 2 slam KOs. 2 Ricard Close against Joe Selecki and Cody Brundage against Zach Reese. Sean Brady mogs the shit out of Kelvin Gastelum. Kind of depressing, I'll be honest. It was kind of... And we'll talk about depressing moments later, but that was pretty depressing, but it was a really good performance by Sean Brady, and he looked good. He didn't pass out. Anderson Figueiredo, Rob Font, another good fight, very competitive. Figueiredo's bantamweight debut. Tony loves that shit. And, I mean, it was a big moment, especially for Tony in the Tapology Wars. And then Jalen Turner beating the absolute dog shit out of Bobby Green, probably for way too long. And sink. And the main event was 40 seconds. Dariush looked pretty good before he got absolutely starched. Armin's, in the top 5 now too. I feel like so much happened on that card, so much good shit.
I mean, yeah, I think Alex said it. I think that's the best one. Even though it was like fairly recent, you just had a lot of great outcomes on that fight. Armin Sarukian showed he's top 5 lightweight in the world. Devison was able to enter bantamweight in the top 10 with flying colors. Great fight night. UFC Austin for me.
Allen versus Craig. I'd like this one. I did really good on picks in this card. So I guess that's adds fuel to the fire. But if I remember correctly, there's a shit ton of finishes on this one. Jekka Sergey. He fucking he dogged Lucas Alexander. And he came off of losing to that Indian dude. So we're all fading him. So I guess I didn't do that good on this card. But we all faded this guy, and he fucking sleeps Lucas Alexander. Eileen Perez had oh yeah, this is the one where I should have picked her, but I didn't because of the story. But yeah, she dominated Lucy Pudilova pretty handedly. Oh, Joe Anderson Brito, he got him with that ninja choke, right, Alex? After getting fucking wrestle fucked. That was pretty dope.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah. And then Mick Thick Bick, Laurel By. I wanted to pick him. I was talking to Alex about him, like the day of the card, but there's just too many unknowns, so I just stayed with the Uros pick. But Nick Thick Bick looks promising. I know Tony picked him as a rookie of the year, and then this fight was dope. Luana Pinheiro versus Amanda Ribas. That was a really good women's MMA fight. Ribas got that sick comeback finish. Chase Hooper looked good against Levitt. And then we saw Michael Morales continue his unbeaten streak against Jake Matthews. He looked pretty good, but I feel like he still has room to grow. Still some things he can work on, you know? And then Brandon Allen fucking cooked Paul Craig pretty much. I don't remember it going 3 rounds, though. That's crazy. But yeah, he subbed the man who's known to sub everybody, which is really fucking impressive. So yeah, I got this one as my card of the fight night of the year.
Our next award is the upset of the year on a pay-per-view.
This one's got a special place in my heart for upset of the year on the pay-per-view. I feel like it was less of an upset to me than it was to other people, and the odds were seriously doubting her. Also, when she subbed Shevchenko, that was a massive comeback. I mean, not a comeback, but that was a massive sleeping on. I feel like Alexa Grasso showed that she's on that level, and she subbed her. And I always felt like after that Tyler Santos fight, somebody could sub her. And I've seen how quick Alexa Grasso latches up rear naked chokes in her fight against Joanne Calderwood. I was like, fuck, I could definitely see her just latching on like a quick rear naked, and that's exactly what happened.
I'm gonna go with Strickland and Adesanya.
Oh.
I was about to go with that too.
One of my favorite fucking moments.
That's a good one.
I already know what Tony's weird ass is gonna pick.
Oh, you too. Tell us now.
I want to say he was a 2-1 underdog in the main event of his pay-per-view. He was highly doubted to retain the title, but I thought he showed levels, and I thought he showed that he clearly was not the underdog on this card. For me, my upset of the year is Leon Edwards, Kamaru Usman 3. I thought Leon Edwards proved that he was the clearly better fighter, and for him to be an underdog in London, in the UK, to me is astounding. So for me, that's my upset of the year. Leon Edwards just showing levels against Kamaru Usman. People just didn't see it coming.
I'm gonna go Sean O'Malley versus Aljamain Sterling. Starting off with like the range management he has, and I think he's probably, if not the best at it, alongside Piotr Jan in that division. Breaking off the back foot. We've seen him fucking move backwards and just snipe people. Plus, like, the UFC didn't want Aljo to win. They also, like, forced him into fighting that fight sooner than he would have preferred. There's just a lot of factors going into Sean O'Malley having the advantage in that fight. Yes, Aljo's the better grappler, but all fights really start on the feet. I know Tony likes to bring this up, but Aljo was just lingering way too long on the feet, which, if you look back on it, he really did. Like, I think he likes fighting like that first round. Like, against Jan, he was staying on the feet in both fights, and he actually won the first round on the feet against Jan. So I guess that's just like how he fights, which I feel like that's a grave mistake, and that just played into the hand of O'Malley. But yeah, that's my biased upset of the year.
Best upset on a fight night.
Bobby Green versus Grant Dawson.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Good one.
I got to see that motherfucker get knocked the fuck out.
Yeah, Mike actually called first round knockout with Bobby Green. Like, no lie. Deadass.
I think my upset on a fight night is going to be Nicholas Dalby versus Gabriel Bonfim. I think
That's a good
everybody
one.
That's a really
on the Bonfim brothers. I think Ismael got exposed earlier against Benoit, but Benoit wound up being very fucking good. And we were like, maybe just it's this Ismael. And Bonfim, Gabriel, has looked really good. And he's definitely going to beat Nicholas Dalby, of all people. And that wasn't the case. Nicholas Dalby looked improved. He pushed a pace on him. He beat him up in the clinch. He took him down. He gassed him out. He did well in the striking. He did damage. And he cooked the fuck out of Gabriel Bonfim in Brazil.
upset of the year on a fight night. I'm going to have to go with Elvis Brenner over Guram Kuchitaledze. I'm a fan of Guram Kuchitaledze. I like how he's like versatile in different areas of MMA. I like his kickboxing, his clinch, trains with Hamzat, trains with Ilya. But Elvis Brenner had just come off of another massive upset over Zabira Turkagov, and in this fight, I want to say he was upwards of near like a 3-1, like more than a 3-1 underdog. It was like crazy. Guram was winning the early rounds, and he was just able to summon the strength to find the finish and pretty much just won it more than Guram did. So I was very impressed with that performance. Elvis Brenner with my upset of the year in the fight night.
Sean Strickland versus Nazardine Imavov. Nazardine closed at a -140 favorite over Sean Strickland. Just showed that those odds are stupid, especially as he became the champ.
Coach of the year.
I'm gonna go with Eric Nixick. He's been very good from the combat sports realm.
My coach of the year, I think Eric Nixick probably should be number one. Has been the coach for Sean Strickland and a lot of other people at Extreme Couture. Something I slightly favor more than Eric Nixick is Tim Welch's rise. Tim Welch found Sean O'Malley young. They've been friends for a long time. They cultivated coaching and their coaching fighter relationship together, and they were able to really thrive in that. Whether they're fucking each other's wives or what, they're boys. You know what I mean? So, Tim Welch, I feel like, and Sean O'Malley were pretty much destined to reach what they reached, and since they kind of started from scratch, it's been crazy. And he works out in that gym, the MMA lab, with a lot of other guys too. And I think of him pretty highly as a coach. I think Eric Nixick, based on total merit, I can see why you picked him as number one, but I feel like Tim Welch is going to be mine just to the rise that he took. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he did pretty good.
Objectively speaking, it should be Eric Nixick.
More often than not, Eric Nixick should win this award. But the man I'm about to name was so vital and so important to his fighter that I do believe that his experience and his advice was the difference of him having the comeback of the year. My coach of the year is Glover Teixeira, and here's why. I believe him defeating Jan Blachowicz to win the undisputed light heavyweight belt, and him having been in a title fight with Yuri Prohaska for the undisputed belt, was vital information that Alex Pereira needed to have on his side and in his corner to be able to defeat Jan Blachowicz in UFC 291 at Utah in his light heavyweight debut, and to defeat Yuri Prohaska in Madison Square Garden at UFC 295 as the main event headliner. If he didn't have Glover in his corner, I don't believe he would be as well versed in the takedown defense as he is currently. Despite having under 15 pro fights, he has defeated 4 UFC champions. And I feel that 2 of those are a huge like testament to Glover in his corner. Not to mention him being Brazilian is a little bit of a language barrier, so like whatever he tells him, his opponent, unless he's Brazilian, is not going to understand what information he's telling him. Just like people were saying Habib should be coach of the year when he was with Islam in his run. I feel genuinely that if Teixeira's not in Pereira's corner, like, definitely the Jan Blachowicz fight could have went different, because Blachowicz had his back in the fucking first round. If Glover's not telling him what to do as far as takedown defense and how to not get subbed, essentially, I don't know if he wins that fight. Glover Teixeira is my coach of the year. Our next award of the year is the best analyst of the year.
Very vocal on the MMA scene, so I will say MMA Guru.
Yeah. I know who Tony's going to say.
I'm going to agree with Mike on that. MMA Guru to this day is like one of, if not my top 3 like MMA sources to go to as a reference point. I look at his breakdowns and prediction videos when I'm picking on Tapology. I like his takes. I respect his content and would watch his content over ESPN MMA's content. He has been my source since 2020.
Tony, I thought you were going to say MMA Joe.
I'm probably going to agree. I'm going to go MMA Guru. I think he beats out all the ESPN analysts. I feel like they're all biased. He is too, to a degree, but I feel like he's more objective than them because he'll at least let you know when he's biased, and it's very obvious, and you can kind of pick yourself. Whereas the ESPN analysts will have a favorite and will tell you what you want to hear. But, I feel like it's harder to differentiate when an ESPN person is apping versus when Guru's giving you bullshit. You know what I mean? Because he gets fired up about it. And then, I feel like overall his takes are pretty similar to mine usually. I've watched him pretty much since 2020. He's pretty much my go-to. So, I have to go Guru.
Our next award of the year is Best Gym of the Year.
I'm going to have to go to Extreme Couture. The amount of bodies that go through there, the amount of training partners you can have, especially from middleweight and light heavyweight. I feel like that's really where you cultivate a lot of really good talent. And we've seen Ngannou be there, Strickland, Curtis, a lot of people. Ankalaev is a staple there. And I'm probably missing a ton of people. But I feel like similar to why Eric Nixon is Coach of the Year, Extreme Couture is Gym of the Year. And I feel like that gym has just rose to the top this year, even more so in the past few years. So I'm going to go Extreme Couture.
I'm going to agree with Alex on this.
Couture's got to be the pick this year. They had a major upset in Sean Strickland. Just as Mike and Alex suggested, there's been a multitude of great fighters. Vegas is one of the top 5 destinations for fighting in the United States.
I'm going to go AGT. Even though they don't have, all the champions, they just have a solid fucking roster all around. A lot of legends of the sport. Former champions. I feel like they give their fighters a really good foundation for MMA. ATT is really fucking deep, I feel like, when it comes to talent.
The American top team would have been my pick if not Extreme Couture. Definitely. Okay.
I think Kill Cliff should be a mention too.
Yeah.
Kill Cliff's pretty good.
Kill Cliff is very good. It is.
Yeah.
That is a very good job. They had a good year too. Our next award of the year is the Fraud of the Year.
Grant Dawson. I've always told people, everybody, including Tony over here, was glazing him because he's not, just because he's from American Top Team don't mean he's Dustin Poirier, don't mean he's fucking all these other type of fighters. He completely sucks. I've been saying that. He sucks. He has just one good one-dimensional style. And I said that style could be countered. And what happened? Bobby Green fucking starched him. So I think I'm gonna put Grant Dawson at my fraud of the year because everybody was hyping him up, being like, "Oh, he's gonna be the next big." Who they said he was gonna be like? Fucking the next Islam Makhachev or some shit like that.
He said that, yes. America, you have an Islam Makhachev or something like that. It was something like that.
Dark horse of the division, Arion was on his dick too. There's several frauds.
Yeah, this one goes out to Arion as well. I forgot his ass was blazing him too. And
Mm,
a whole bunch of dick riding from them too. But yeah, I'm gonna go with fraud of the year. Yeah, Grant Dawson.
Biggest fraud of the year. He walked into 2023 with a massive shot to get into bantamweight contention. Not only did he shit the fucking bed, his next fight he got his legs chopped off. We're talking Adrian fucking Yanez, my boy. Who got put in a pack quicker
Oh
than
my
him?
God.
Only McKinney.
I forgot.
McKinney the only other option, brother. Unless you
Oh,
want to
yeah.
talk Judas.
Doom McKinney.
Oh, no, it's Giannis, brother. It's Giannis.
Yeah.
Got
What?
his ass starched in round 1 by a pillow fist Rob Font. He proceeded to get his ACL torn into bits by Jonathan Martinez. Jonathan Martinez molested him. You know what I mean? He molested him. Rob Font, the reason I picked him going into the Figueiredo fight is because he did what he did against Giannis. And, that did backfire on me, but that's just how bad Adrian Yanez is. I like him. He's a nice dude. Shout out Dr. Pepper. Like, I will always root for Yanez, but fuck, man. Got fraud check this year.
Sadiq Yusuf. So, explain to me how this nigga rocks the shit out of Edson Barboza, drops him, hurts him badly, and he lets this nigga survive and go on to out-cardio him over 5 rounds when Edson's notorious for not being able to overcome that type of situation. And it seems as though Sadiq is like one of those fighters who's good at being the hammer, but as soon as you make him a nail, he just starts fading and fading and fading. So yeah, Sadiq Yusuf had that fight in the palm of his hand, but he fumbled it terribly, and I've been high on Sadiq. How do you fumble that? I just still don't get it. It pisses me off every time I think about it. Yeah, good for Edson, I guess, but more so Sadiq, you're fucking terrible. Fuck you.
For me, a fraud has to be like there are amplifications and expectations of dominance, winning, and potential finishing. That is what, and to not meet the criteria on any of those, essentially, is what merits a fraud to me. I'm just going to go with someone who was a massive favorite, undefeated record, and to lose to the person that they lost to, that is very fraudulent to me. So it's going to be Ashley Jubilee with my fraud of the year. You cannot lose to Mike Breeden. I don't know if he was ahead on the scorecards, but I want to figure that if the fight had went to a decision, I imagine he would have gotten his hand raised. But to get finished by Mike Breeden, Ashley Jubilee with my fraud of the year.
That was the one I had originally thought of when I was getting.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
The next award is the female fraud of the year. Molly McCann. The expectations the UFC had with her, in terms of just being affiliated with Patty Pimblett, she was ranked at one point. Granted, she lost to Erin Blanchfield. Didn't she lose to Julia Storyenko or something like that?
Yes.
She got armbarred, right?
Yes.
She was a massive favorite, I think, in that fight. And I just think, for me, a fraud, like I said, if you're a massive favorite, you have an image, you have a criteria and an expectation that you are supposed to be meeting at, to lose to the competition but to get finished in the process. So I thought she had a real, what's the word, not just humbling, but a back down to earth year for me, for Molly McCann. So that's my women's fraud of the year. But I think I already know where some of my constituents are going. I think they have a great one in mind.
Oh yeah.
Can I go? Can I go first?
Go ahead.
I already know it. Let's go.
I'm gonna spit it out already. Casey O'Neill, fucking fraud, terrible, god awful.
That'll be Casey O'Neill. Without a doubt. Finished by unranked Ariane Lipsky. And got Muhammad Ali by Jennifer Meyer. He wasn't that good, but some of us lays her to no end, even when Roxanne Modafferi was leaving her with black eyes. And that someone knows who he is. Casey O'Neill.
Yeah, Casey O'Neill.
Best commentator.
Dominic Cruz. He's a personal favorite of mine. I feel like Dominic Cruz has the right amount of intelligence. I know people don't like him, but I do, so fuck them. And yeah, I just feel like he has a good IQ on the mic. He knows what he's talking about. He doesn't talk too much. He's not obnoxious. He doesn't go on rambles like other commentators with CTE do. Yeah, I'm gonna just go Cruz. I think he's overall has the best commentary.
I like the vibe Joe Rogan brings to events. I think it's like we will miss it when he's done for good. I'm gonna have to go with John and best commentator. I feel like he does a good job like capturing like really good moments. I feel like he knows his role. He doesn't overreach with certain things. He has a simple role, but I think it's really effective and he does his job well. But I also really like Cruz.
I'm gonna go with John Anik as well, the GOAT.
Dominic Cruz is my favorite commentator year in, year out. I like the in-depth perception that he gives from not only a fighter, but a former champion, having been in multiple 5-round fights. I'm going to go with Dominic Cruz for my commentator of the year. His comeback fighter of the year.
Aspinall.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's a good one.
That's a good. This is a basic ass pick, but I feel like it gotta be said. John Jones' heavyweight return. You know what I mean? And for him to make quick work with Cyril Gahn like that was amazing. And now he's the heavyweight champ. He's solidified his GOAT status even more.
John Jones as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna change to John Jones.
Everybody knows who I'm going to go with. My comeback fighter of the year is going to be Alex Pereira. I just think, like most people, when they get virally knocked out, I don't think the first thing you think of after that is, wow, they're going to be a champion of a weight class. I think they often think, oh, this is probably downhill from this point, especially after going out like that. On his ass, on the canvas, just knocked the fuck out against his arch nemesis. That was a loss that really hurt Alex. So for him to then, at age 35 plus, 3-4 months later at UFC 291 on July 29th, so that was like April 9th, I want to say, and then that's like not even a full 4 months. He had just come off getting virally knocked out, beats a former champion, and then ends the year as the light heavyweight champion of the world and a 2-division weight champion in MMA and kickboxing. That's a massive comeback for me, so... Alex Pereira, my comeback fighter of the year. The bummer of the year. Either a fight or a performance that you were like, wow, that did not live up to expectations.
Colby versus Leon was not what I fucking wanted to watch at all.
Right.
I came with the worst strategy known to man. There was no output. There was no wrestling. Leon didn't throw much more than Colby. It was a boring fight.
Ian Gary ducking the fade. One of the most fucking rawest fucking eviscerations on a press conference because he was too pussy to show up.
I'm gonna go with Jack Della versus Kevin Holland. He didn't put him out.
That's fair. He wanted Kevin Holland to sleep.
My bummer of the year is Corey Sandhagen, Rob Font. That was I expected striking. I wanted to see boxing versus kickboxing. Granted, Corey did have an injury, and like that was what I imagine inspired a very takedown-heavy game plan, similar to what Shavkat just did against Wonderboy. He's claiming his ankle got hurt, and he wasn't able to really want to play on the feet with Wonderboy. Still, for a main event, I'm pretty sure we all had some sense of we were going to see high-level striking, and to get that was a bummer. So yeah, I'm actually going to put that as my bummer of the year. Corey Sandhagen, Rob Font. I officially changed it to that.
That's a good one.
And we were supposed to get Corey Sandhagen, Umar Nurmagomedov. So to get that short notice and not get any real striking, that was a bummer.
Yes. This
is the Tony Ferguson Award of the Year. This is awarded to a fighter who we just feel is, on a downward spiral in their career. Where, we don't know what exactly entails in the future. Best analogy or example we can give is Tony Ferguson at one point was 12-fight win streak. He is now in the midst of a 7-fight losing streak. So this goes to a fighter who is just not doing well right now. That's a good one.
You want to expand on that?
Let's expand on that. And then Mike.
There's narratives that he was going to be a GOAT of the division. Okay, so he's still on a 4-fight losing streak.
Kelvin Gastelum. Yeah, I'm going to go with Kelvin Gastelum. He's a fucking disappointment. He should be ashamed of himself for even saying that he fought he got to fight Israel Adesanya and other greats.
My Tony Ferguson award is going to go to a fighter that actually didn't even fight this year. He got knocked out at the end of 2022 and took this entire year off. And only at the end part of this year, he got booked in January against an absolute death match where he will almost certainly lose his career against Carlos Ulberg, Dominic Reyes. He didn't fight this year. He was too concussed to do so. He fought in November, got starched by Ryan Spann, and has been out ever since. He's pretty much, this entire year, he's been radio silent. And just for him to sign maybe the absolute worst fight for him, he's going to start 2024 and he's going to absolutely die and he's going to lose his career.
Augusto Sakai. He's at least on like a 3, maybe a 4-fight losing streak or something like that. I want to say there was a point in time he was ranked in the top 15. He wasn't like projected to be a future champion or anything like that. I just think he's in like a real tailspin in his career right now, and I don't know if he's getting like back up. Heavyweight, I don't want to say he's evolving, but it's like I could see like Robles to Spain like absolutely destroying him. Best knockout of the year. Yeah,
I'm going to go Josh Arching Bryce Mitchell. It might be recency bias, but just like he KO'd Bryce bad. And he was seasoned up, and like that was just like such like a hard punch that he landed, and it was right down the middle. That's like he just brutalized Bryce Mitchell. That was a beautiful one-punch KO.
I'm gonna go with Israel Adesanya knocking out Alex Pereira, just because it's just a very good knockout, very good highlight reel. I know somebody around here is a huge Alex Pereira fan, claims that he's been watching him since Glory, and especially how he was just fucking taunting him while he's fucking unconscious. That shit was hilarious.
Terrence McKinney versus Bonfim. He literally Reyes into the ground after getting hit with that knee.
Justin Gaethje over Dustin Poirier. He needed that win, Justin, to solidify a title shot. I think he's next for Islam Makhachev after a performance like that, being on a 2-fight win streak. I think Justin Gaethje's next, and that knockout propelled him towards that said title shot. Submission of the year.
It was a rear naked choke, which usually I don't go for, but the quality of opponent it was against is what makes it number one for me. Brendan Allen submitting Paul Craig. Paul Craig is very crafty on the ground. He's not submitted by many people. And usually if they do submit him, it's a brute force type of submission where they can grab a Kimura, like Jimmy Crute did. And also usually it's after rocking him. And he hasn't been subbed in a while, and he's looked really good at middleweight, beating the shit out of Andre Muniz. And somebody who Brendan Allen also out-grappled this year. But for him to submit Paul Craig was pretty crazy. I think Brendan Allen has proved he's probably the BJJ guy of middleweight division at this point. And he's got some nasty-ass hands, too. He needs to protect his chin, I'm going to be honest.
Bobby Green, Tony Ferguson. I just love a choke where they go unconscious and it's like dead on the ground. Like, you don't expect Bobby Green to get subbed. So, and like, Tony was out, man. So, yeah. I'm going to go with that one. I like that one.
I'm going to go with Volkov versus Tai Tuivasa.
That's a good one.
Choke. Like I told y'all before, that was my favorite choke to practice back in the days when I used to grapple.
Davey Grant over Rafael Assunção. That sub was just like out of nowhere. I want to say it was an inverted triangle, but I don't even know if I want to call it that. I think Alex is more of the BJJ expert than me. But that was just crazy.
It wasn't.
I think if you were picking Davey Grant, you might have thought knockout, maybe, but predominantly you would have went decision. I don't think anybody had Davey Grant submission, especially by that, on their bingo cards.
Performance, since we're on the topic. Performance of the year, he came in with the best game plan. It's got to be Sean Strickland. Israel Adesanya should have beat him on paper, and it wasn't like it was a KO or a sub or anything early. He dominated the kickboxing world champion on the feet. 5 rounds, and nobody expected him to do so. To do it for longer is more impressive, and he was able to rock Adesanya early and dominate the whole fight, all striking.
Rogan versus Sergey Spivak. I know it was a short fight, but He absolutely fucking decimated that man. Fucking clean ass body shots.
Let's go with Charles Oliveira, Beneil Dariush. That was a fight that made me believe, like, all right, it was just Makhachev. He's on a different level. Charles is still top 3 in the world. Oliveira was able to show, like, the absolute gap between the two of them in speed, striking, just the way they handle adversity and pressure.
I'm gonna go with Ilya Topuria, my boy.
Robbery of the year, Kai Kara France, Amir Albazi. I think that's going to be my robbery of the year. Albazi was like 1 of 9 on takedowns. Kai should have won that. Literally just the UFC looking at records and going like, Kai's 24 and 10. Amir Albazi can be 16 and 1. That's my robbery of the year.
My robbery of the year, I'm going to go Daniel Marcos versus Davy Grant. I felt like Davy Grant should have won that fight. He landed the bigger shots. I felt like he landed more often. Daniel Marcos fought very pedestrian-like. And yeah, I just felt like Davy Grant, he was the more marketable out of the two. I know, like, Daniel Marcos is, like, from Peru or somewhere. They probably want to market, and he's younger, but, like, he didn't impress me. I thought Davy Grant won.
I'm going to have to agree with Tony on this. I never thought I would ever say this before. Amir Albazi versus Kai Kara France. I thought that was a robbery of the year. Don't get me started on Kai Kara. He is still a fucking pussy. He ducked Manel Cup.
Yeah. Albazi.
Final word.
Mine was certainly Alexa Grasso winning the title by sub. That pick was one of my best ones of all time. Picking Alexa Grasso to sub by rear naked choke is...
Weeks out of UFC 290, I was telling him, like, bro, I'm telling y'all, he is going to have the best performance of his career. I know the way he fights is not the most visually appealing, and he can at times look like, how is he winning? It's just crazy. It is crazy how this win streak he's on. But I predicted spot on second round TKO Dricus du Plessis to upset Robert the Reaper Whittaker in what I considered the biggest non-title middleweight win in the last decade. So basically, in a 3-round fight in middleweight in the last decade from 2023 to 2013. I think that was, to me, the biggest upset in that span.
I'm gonna hit y'all with a 2-for-1 special here. I'm gonna go for man and woman.
Nice.
Bobby Green, when he knocked out Grant Dawson. Grant Dawson is dog shit. Not a great fighter. And that's why I picked. That's why I was like thinking, yeah, Bobby Green's gonna do it. I think he will be the guy to do it. Or a woman one too. Sink and I, and there's video proof about it too. We picked Ariane Lipski to beat Casey O'Neill, so I'm going to go with that one as well. I've always picked Ariane Lipski to win. Lately, I'm 2-0 in picks with her. Go with Lipski when I picked her. I'm going to go with Bobby Green.
O'Malley knocking out Sterling. I just knew O'Malley was going to get it done.
Right, I think that just about wraps up the award show. Okay.
Thank fuck. Jesus.
Yeah. Great job, guys. 2023 awards.
Now on to 2024.